Hello everybody, welcome to Reverse Homesteading. Sitting here in my garden on this lovely late summer day, not too hot, not too cold, and I thought I'd show you what I'm planting for my summer fall garden, which I have to start planting at the end of summer once it's not too hot. So I may have missed the window for a couple of plants, but I'm hoping not. I'm gonna try to stretch that window. So I've got my plant journal where I write the date and the plant and which company the seeds come from. Pretty much everything I grow from seed is my usual MO. And I've got my erasers, a 6B pencil, a soft pencil. I'm not sure if they're called 6B in the rest of the world. And yeah, just little tags to put in my seed. I use Ziploc bags a lot in my seed area, and my do-it-yourself plant labels. I'll put a video up for how to make those out of something that most people have. Yeah, so there's a teaser for next time, but yeah, they work well with a soft pencil. So I learned something new today, which I may have known previously and forgotten. I don't know. Anyway, I try to remember the botanical names for the plant families. And I used to nearly lived in a native plant nursery, and we had to use the botanical names there. So I've forgotten most of those for the Australian natives, but I'm trying to remember the vegetable and fruit names for plant families. So here we go. What I learned today is that beetroot and silver beet are related, because I was reading the Golden Sunrise seed collection label this morning, and it said Beta vulgaris, and I thought, I've heard that before. And yeah, I looked at my beetroot packet and it's the same name. So it's the Chenopeuataceae, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, plant family. But yeah, you'll know if you see Beta vulgaris on your seeds, they're in that plant family. So obviously the beetroot or the beets you use for the roots, and the silver beet is for the leaves, and I usually can't handle normal silver beet. I was hoping the Golden Sunrise one with the yellow stem, people also call them chard, yeah, I was hoping it wouldn't be so strong a flavour. I've heard they're not, but the slugs and snails completely ate them all in the tropics. So yeah, that was not good. So heads up, slugs and snails are even worse in Melbourne, so I will have to be keenly aware of those little pests in the garden. But anyway, next plant family. This is the first planting. I'm going to try to be really good with succession planting, so planting every 2 or 3 weeks or so to keep things coming in into your kitchen if you can. So the next ones are alliums, so the onion family. So excuse my scruffy seed packets, but I'm trying to use my old ones. I grew these in the tropics and they were fantastic, very sweet. It's a form of spring onion. We call them spring onions in Melbourne, but some people call them, I think, scallions. But yeah, anyway, they're an onion with a long bulb at the bottom. So this one is called Tolga Red, and I was pretty excited because we used to live near a small country town called Tolga, but haven't been able to find out what the history is on this one. Anyway, it's by Wild Kitchen Johnson Seeds, so I've grown that one before, so that will be good. I've got one I haven't tried before, Red Baron Red Onion, DT Brown. It says organic seeds, which is great to get, but I don't really want to pay a huge amount for organic seeds, so I don't usually. I just don't like the ones that are treated, but sometimes they're hard to avoid. I've got Mr. Fothergill's garlic chives. They're great because when we have baked potatoes, I usually put spring onion and garlic and that sort of thing on it. So it's just one step less if you have garlic chives. Just a quick meal for the midweek. So we've got normal chives. These ones might be a bit old. I thought I'd used up all my old ones, but I've got, I think it's also Country Value, which is a Bunnings brand. That didn't sprout last time, but I have a polycross version. I'm not sure if it's the same one. So if these ones don't come up because they're too old, a lot of onion seeds must be fairly fresh. a year or two old at the most. Just noticed this says August 2015, so we will keep the other ones ready as a backup if they don't come up. So I've got just normal spring onions, as we call them in Victoria. If you live in Sydney or in New South Wales in Australia, they will call them something else. They'll call them shallots. Yes. So you can eat the white or you can eat the green bit, but I'm not sure what they're called in the rest of the world. I was watching a French-Italian chef the other day and he called them scallions. So lots of different names for those. Right, I have something just for fun. Moringa seeds. These are my own seeds in the tropics. I used to have moringa plants, so they're also called a miracle tree. So I'll try to plant one of those. I'll have to keep it pretty protected from the frost. So it's, yeah, it's a bit of a gamble to plant them this time of the year, but we shall see. Speaking of a gamble, this would work the best out of the whole year if I planted them in the end of summer, but these are sweet corn. I might have missed my window. It's set up until January for most of the varieties here, but I am going to give it a go. And also because I've already written out the labels, so why not? This is a Kelvin Glory, which was really sweet and lovely. It's by Garden Line, which is the Aldi brand. I don't know if you have an Aldi near you. This is one I got from Seed Savers, Heritage Corn Zea Maize. Yeah, so that's still pretty fresh, so that should be alright. Corn seeds have to be fairly fresh, I don't know, a year or two old at the most. This is Balinese corn that I got from succeedheirlooms.com.au. Not sure if they're available everywhere, and they were really good. I've only grown them once, which was in the tropics. And it's a smaller plant, it's sort of like a dwarf plant, and it's little dwarf corn, and they're really sweet, really good. My husband actually said at the time, can we just grow these? So, and here's the same thing from another bunch called growheirloomseed.com.au. So I don't think I've grown that kind of corn from them before, but the other seeds are really good. So let's proceed on to brassicas and similar leafy greens. I think they're all brassicas. I haven't googled everything recently, so I'm going a little bit on memory. So I've got these little seeds are from my son-in-law years ago. Roquette. American people call them arugula, I think. We don't say that here so much. Here's a curly-leafed kale from his own garden that my son-in-law gave me. So he'd probably be a bit shocked to know I still have some of his seeds. This is cress, or as English people would call it, watercress, by DT Brown, which are usually a pretty good seed packet, seed company. I've got some green curled kale in case the other ones are too old. That's DT Brown as well. I went to a little tourist spot which is near one of my relatives recently, Eden Seeds. Wasn't actually the seed place, but it was a tourist spot that held their seeds. They're non-hybrid, old traditional open pollinated varieties. So I won't get into all of that. There are a lot of people who talk about all of that, but it looked good to me because it was snowball cauliflower. So they have just little plants and little snowball sized cauliflowers, which I thought was great because keeping the pests off them, even here in a temperate region in Melbourne, is kind of difficult. So if I can grow something that's a dwarf or a small thing, that'll be good. So I've got quite a few cabbage varieties because I've been trying a lot because, as I said, the creatures love them here. So I've got a Savoy cabbage here. I've grown that in the tropics. That was fantastic. And I think I've grown it once in Melbourne before. This is probably only my third time ever of growing through winter in Melbourne. It's usually just so cold and miserable outside. I don't bother. There's a confession for you. So I'm trying to do better with autumn winter plantings this year. Just because I was so spoiled up north being able to grow things year round. Here it just gets too cold for a lot of things, so I'm trying to stay in my lane. I'm trying to be good and grow things that will actually grow through winter here as we get 3 or 4 frosts or freezes. They're light freezes, I think. They only go down to about 3 or 4 below 0 Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Farenheit, sorry. I'll put it in the description. But yeah, Savoy cabbage grow fairly quickly in my experience, and they're pretty cool. Sugarloaf cabbage by DT Brown Seeds. They usually grow really well in the tropics, probably also because you have a lot of pests up there. And I was growing them up there because they have a very short season. I'm not sure if the packet actually says that. Yeah, it doesn't actually say exactly how long it takes to grow them. But yes, they were usually short enough to avoid the pests, and it was a very short winter period of actual cold in the tropics. I was at high elevation and a long way inland, so we did get a proper winter, and we'd occasionally get a frost once or twice a year, every 1 or 2 years, so rare, but yeah, people down the road used to get more frosts than I did, strangely. Yes, Rocky Tropics Gardening is my original channel. I was there for 2 years, nearly 2 years. If you want to look up Rocky Tropics Gardening, you'll find out what I was doing up there. So, these are mini cabbage crunch lettuces. Cabbages. Same idea. If you get something that grows quickly, you can avoid a lot of the pest pressure. And I've only grown them once before, and that was in the tropics. These are by Erica Vale Seeds. And they were really sweet, and the grasshoppers didn't get to them. The ones that I harvested late they did, but most of the grasshoppers stayed away until then. This one I've only grown once before. It's in Italian, and I'm not Italian, but it's a chicory cabbage, excuse me if I'm wrong, by Zorzi Seeds. There used to be a deli in Melbourne here when we originally lived here, and they sold these seeds, and they were really good. They germinated really well, so I'm hoping it still will, because these seeds are a little bit old. Doesn't actually have an expiry. Oh no, it does, 2020. Oops. But when I grew this another time, perhaps I'm supposed to shield it from the sun a bit like a celery plant, but it's supposed to have the red flecks and be white, but it grew green and a little bit boring, so we'll see how it does this time. I have broccoli, which I usually avoid, but it's sprouting broccoli, so the florets are smaller, and hopefully it'll be a bit faster to get a harvest, and I'll just keep the insect netting on it the whole time because they don't need to be pollinated. So that was a revelation. I don't know why I didn't realise that all those years gardening. I suppose I didn't grow a lot of brassicas through winter, but yes, if you're growing something that doesn't need to be pollinated, put that insect net on if you can. So I've got an old packet of Brussels sprouts from the first time I grew them in Melbourne, so I'm hoping that they will still grow. Evesham Special, if that's the way you say it, by Mr. Fothergills, and I've got a backup packet that's a bit newer, same kind of variety by DT Brown. And this was really exciting because I don't know if you've ever been to an Asian restaurant, usually Japanese, where they give you like a slaw that's got a vinaigrette dressing on it, and it's really fresh and crunchy, and it's got apple and often carrot and something else in it. Often that something else is kohlrabi. This is a purple Vienna variety by Mr. Fothergills, so often they're a bit more purple than that. I grew it for the first time in the tropics in our very short winter, so I'm excited to have a bit longer to grow these, so hubby really liked them and I did too, so that was pretty good. We're going on to our Asian greens. I've still got some digger seeds. These must be just so old, but they grew in the tropics, so I'm guessing they'll still grow here. This is tatsoi, which is a flat leafy Asian green. Pak choi by Mr. Fothergills. Excuse me. With a white stem. They're pretty good. Here is a Chinese cabbage, otherwise known as a wombock, by DT Browns. So that went to seed almost straight away in the tropics. That was just a bit of a disaster, sadly, and then the grasshoppers ate the rest. So the chickens got some of it eventually. This is called leaf broccoli or spigarello. These are my own seeds from the tropics. Chickens love leaf broccoli, or my chickens anyway. So in the hope of getting some chickens, I will grow some of that. This is a bit of a mystery seed. I think it's choy sum. I love choy sum, otherwise known as Chinese broccoli. So I'll be excited for that. This is a lone little seed that I found at the bottom of my seed box, and I think it's a turtle bean or a black bean, the kind of beans that people put in burritos. So I'll just grow that to get it out of the way. I just hate throwing seeds away. So hopefully it will grow for me. So onto the last of these seeds. Okay, sad little story about stevia. I bought a plant for stevia. It's a, excuse me, talking too much. I'm not used to it. Yes, I bought a plant, and yeah, it said it wasn't frost hardy, and I planted it out. I thought it'll be alright, and forgot to cover it up. This was in Melbourne. So I'm trying again with seeds that are a bit cheaper than that plant was, because those kinds of plants, a lot of people want them, so the price is a little bit higher. So I made that mistake, so I will keep them away from the frost. The packet says I can still grow the seed at this time of the year, so I will try. This is hyssop. I was so excited to find these seeds online by Seeds of Plenty. Also the stevia is the same brand. So it says hyssop anise. So these are for the little pollinators, bees, and I believe they're medicinal as well. I don't really know much about medicinal plants. I am going to try to grow a tea garden again here, as I did in the tropics. Okay, so we've got dill. There aren't a lot of herbs you can grow in Melbourne in the winter. I'm sorry this writing is backwards, but I'm not savvy enough to fix that. Sage. These are the garden basics things. They're sort of a cheaper seed that Bunnings, the big box store here in Australia, sells. They're much cheaper. Really haven't planted them before, so we'll see how they go. Another garden basics. This is just nasturtium because it looks cool and it's good for the pollinators, and it's just something cute and bright and happy to have in the garden. And I've got Hollyhock Cheetah's Double by DT Brown, so I thought that would be cool. Zinnia Giant Dahlia Flowered Mix by DT Brown. These just self-seed everywhere. These are fantastic. I really got into those when I lived in far north Queensland in the tropics. So make it easy on yourself and pare down your varieties to something that will actually grow, which is what I'm trying to do this time. And yeah, there's always next time, and this is the bag of things I've got for next time. So my succession sowing is already whatever I couldn't do this time, so are the ones that will have to wait a little bit longer. So I'll get to my planting very soon and give you an update. Hope that was helpful. I'll see you next time.